Welcome to the Angels Win podcast with former Angels broadcaster Victor Rojas, featuring Geoff Stoddart and Chuck Richter. And now it's time to talk about some baseball. Victor, take it away.
It's that time of the week, I guess. A little bit over a week for us, about 10 days thereabouts. We welcome you to the Angels Win podcast, episode number 34. I'm Victor Rojas, Geoff Stoddart, and Chuck Richter, kind enough to join us. And I will be here for about 30 minutes or thereabouts, and then leaving it to the masters of the ceremony to take over and bring you on home with a mailbag and the like. But gentlemen, as always, cheers. And
cheers.
I hope you and your families are doing exceptionally well.
And yours
cheers
as well.
To that.
We, Chuck, you hadn't dialed in yet, but Geoff and I were talking about how we have graduation happening at Grand Canyon University next weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And his son is graduating on Thursday, correct?
Yes.
His birthday.
Yep.
And then Maddie is graduating on Friday. So
okay,
it's crazy.
Are you guys gonna cross paths or?
No, he's bobbing and weaving. He's doing a little Mike Tyson. You know?
I'm flying in, so my son Griffin graduates on Thursday, which is his 22nd birthday. And so I fly in Thursday morning, go to the ceremony, take him out to get something to eat, and then he has given me the heads up that he and his buddies are taking off, and I am not invited to whatever festivities they are doing. So I'm heading up to Prescott, Arizona, stay with my friends Laura and Brian, and I'm going to see our friends Terry and Ken that are frequent listeners and write in a lot. So I'm going to get to see them on Friday as well. So looking forward to it.
Very cool. Hey, I was working with Mike Rooney on Saturday at the Texas Tech TCU game on ESPNU, and Mike Rooney lives in Prescott, Arizona.
Okay.
Yeah. I know he's in Arizona. I know he was living out there. I'm like, I no kid. I said my son was going to go to Yavapai and all that stuff. He goes, oh yeah, I know Yavapai. He coached at Arizona State. He's originally from Philly. He actually, small world. He goes, was Mark Gubicza your broadcast partner with the Angels? I said, yeah, of course. He goes, well, I grew up in Philly originally, and I went to the rival high school of Penn Charter where Gooby was the stud. And, of course, Gooby will tell you all this stuff, how great he was in high school. That and I think Ruben Amaro Jr. went to school there as well, Penn Charter. But Rooney was telling me about how he went to the rival school. And then I said, but you have an Arizona number? He said, yeah. He said, Prescott, Arizona. I'm like, and for some reason, I vapor locked, and I'm thinking the Valley of the Sun. I'm like, no. That's actually where Yavapai is at. And then we got into that conversation. So a small world. I know you've got some friends there, and that's cool that you're going to blow me off on Thursday and hang with them. When are you leaving? Because we're going to dinner on Friday night. We're going to City Hall Steakhouse in Scottsdale on Friday night. You want to join us?
I'm up in Prescott, and we're doing
drive down, bro.
We're doing Whiskey Row up in Prescott. I'm not
overrated.
Come on up. Come on up. We'll have a great time.
Now I'm going to have a fat steak and maybe some shrimp or something. And
so they
Artie.
Turns out they've got steaks up in Prescott as well.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. I'm going to the place. I'm taking my daughter on graduation to the place where Artie took me to dinner the second night I was in Arizona after I got the job in 2010. Wow. We went so I got there a little bit later because I had to finish MLB Network stuff. So when I got there, he said, let's go to dinner. And it was me, Artie, Carpino, I think was there, and the entire coaching staff. Like, why is the coaching staff coming out? It's like Sosha, Dino, Mickey. I mean, it's like, but that place is legit. They brought out these seafood towers, man.
Ooh.
Oh, good God.
What is in a seafood tower?
A bunch of shit that's really good. Yeah.
Lobster tails,
crab legs, prawns. Yeah. I mean, it's.
Woo, that's right up my alley. I love that.
Like, I was ordering because I know I wasn't paying. Just put it on Artie's bill.
Hear that?
Yeah. But it was cool. But that's where we're going to dinner. That's why I brought that up. City Hall.
Nice.
So.
I might be taking Griffin to Olive Garden. Or Buffalo Wild Wings.
The breadsticks are. Hey, listen. I don't care what anybody says. Do not knock Buffalo Wild Wings. Okay.
No.
Okay.
Heck no, that's
same with what's the other one? What's the green and white one? Oh my God, Wingstop.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
legit.
That hot honey on Wingstop.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that's good stuff,
Doctor.
Yes, sir.
All right, are we gonna talk baseball?
Apparently not.
That's overrated.
We thank you all for tuning into our Food Network audition tape. We're now going to shift over to sports.
Yeah.
What do you got, Geoff? What are we talking about today?
Well, let's see. It's been, like you said, it's been 10 days, 2 weeks since we had our last podcast where we were, well, not all of us were very excited that the Angels were tied for first place. But you know, it been a little early. But now we I didn't mention any names. I made
you didn't have to. You look at me right in the camera.
But here we are 2 weeks later, and turns out the Angels are still tied for first place.
Yeah, it's a mid-division. It's a mid-division. It really is.
Hey, we can qualify it all we want.
No. I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just saying. All I'm saying is that right now it is a mid-division. The Astros have some serious shit going on. Seattle, who cares shit about Seattle? They'll never figure it. It just doesn't seem like they're going to figure it out. Oakland is Oakland. And then the Rangers have had some injuries. They're bringing up Jack Leiter.
That'll be good.
He'll make his major league debut on Thursday against the Tigers. And then you got the Angels. So it's a mid-division. 9-9, 8-8, 7-10, 7-10, 6-12. Tell me that's not a mid-division. It is.
It is what it is. If they
take advantage of it. If you're the Angels,
exactly.
Don't dick around in St. Petersburg and take 3 of 4. Can you tell that I only have 30 minutes to talk and I'm trying to get it all in? It's not the alcohol. I promise you.
No. Oh, there's alcohol in that? I didn't know.
I like 30-minute Victor.
I thought it was a prerequisite. I thought. You guys never drink, do you? That's like fake whiskey.
Never.
That's like fake beer.
Oh my God.
Non-alcoholic shit.
Well, I mean, it kind of is fake beer, but I just got done taking my dog for a walk and I was ready to find my beach. Corona. Find your beach.
Corona.
I'm also doing auditions for if anybody wants to sponsor us.
Yeah.
We can talk it out.
I tell you what, you want a good beer that I almost popped the beer out today? Summer Shandy. You ever had a Summer Shandy?
No.
Where's that brewed out of?
It starts with an L. I'm so bad with the beers and I'm bad with names, period.
Like what state? Do you know? Like,
come on, bro. Seriously?
Hold on. Come on.
Let me text the boss.
We're switching gears from the Food Network show to the beer enthusiast.
Summer
All right, I know we're live. You give me a second? Stay right here. You guys talk.
I got
I'll be right back.
Oh, yeah. This is,
You got it?
I got it right here. Yeah, it's lean. Oh, geez.
It starts with an L, right?
It's LEINEKUGEL.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was talking about. And you wonder why I forgot that.
Yeah.
It's geez.
But that beer is fantastic. So where's it brewed, Geoff?
Pulling up their website right now. I have to enter in my birth date so they know that I'm old enough.
We need to start doing some live streams for our podcast.
Line and Kugel. It's called Line and Kugel Brewing Company.
There you go. Well done. Yeah. It's out of Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin.
And it's the perfect, the name of it is Summer Shandy. It's like the perfect summer beer. It really is. It's just, it's good. It's just, and the first time I had it years ago. And then a couple of summers ago, we were, Tyler was playing the summer ball, a tournament in Atlanta. We went to a Braves game. And we're getting some food. All of a sudden, I'm like, Summer Shandy. I'm like, you got to have a couple of summer. And Atlanta in the summer, you got to drink it fast.
Oh my God!
Otherwise,
it's hot and humid. Oh
yes,
yeah. But it's a tasty beer. Sorry. So, anyways, but I went back to the alcohol, the vodka as usual. So the American League West, it is mid. I know I digressed.
No,
So
it's very mid. If they were in the American League East, they would be in last place because everybody in the American League East is over 500.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the Central. They'd be in 4th place in the Central.
Mm-hmm.
Guardians, Royals, Tigers, and then Twins are 6-9. White Sox are just god awful. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I hope that things change the pattern that the Angels seemingly have been on for over a year now, where you think that they are going to get off to a really good start, a fast start on a road trip. They go to Boston, right? They win on Friday, and then lose, and it's like
yeah.
You go to Tampa, you win the first game. It's a 4-game series, and it's hard. In Tampa, it's tough to. Energy is difficult. I never minded going to that ballpark, but I can imagine from a player's perspective, the turf and the like, it's difficult to keep that momentum going. So you win the first one, and you do it late, right? You score a lot of runs late in yesterday's game.
Yeah.
And then now you hope you keep that momentum going with 2 night games and a day game. Chuck, did you say, do they go to Cincinnati this weekend?
Yeah, I'm actually going to be there.
That is such a weird trip, going Boston to St. Pete to Cincinnati and then home.
Yeah.
Good though to get these nasty travel ones out of the way early, I guess. And if you can come back, at or above 500 a little bit, that's not necessarily a horrible way to kick off the season with so many of these on the road.
How do you like that ballpark, Great American Ballpark, Victor?
I think it's a nice ballpark. I think they screwed up the way they built it. I think, because it faces Covington, Kentucky with the river. And I just think that you kind of lose, the skyline and the like. To me,
are there river views? Can you see the river from
up high and looking out over, because it runs along the first base side. Home plate first base side is where it runs. So you're kind of never really looking at it. It doesn't look out. Unlike Pittsburgh, where you're looking at the Roberto Clemente Bridge.
Right.
I think they missed there. The other thing that I don't care for it's just, it's been a couple of years since I've been there. It's been a while. So please bear with me. That ballpark and the one in DC, the Nationals, are just very homogenous. They're just kind of, I don't know, it's white and red, and it's just kind of, there's no character or feel to it for a newer ballpark. That was those are the two things that I mean, don't get me wrong, Riverfront sucked. Those multi-purpose St. Louis, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, those were god awful. But so this is a huge upgrade. I just think they could have done so much more, especially with the history. And they've done a great job where the offices are at, the Hall of Fame, the statues, the leading up to it is all very cool. I think just when you get in there, you're like, oh, the batter's eye's kind of funky with that. I think there's a restaurant out in center field or whatever, but those are my 2 cents. But I thought, in my head, I thought they were going home after this road trip, because I thought that was just a weird roadie. Nothing will ever beat the Four Corners trip that we took in 2011, I think it was. We were at home, went to Seattle, went to the Mets, went to the Marlins, and then back home.
Oh my God.
Four Corners trip. I think there were 2 off days in there too, by the way. It's insane. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to checking out a new stadium for the first time, and
you'll enjoy it. Go to the Montgomery Inn. You like ribs, you like barbecue, go to the Montgomery Inn. You could walk there. Good ribs, good barbecue. Yeah, I'm not a chili guy, so I didn't partake in that.
You didn't have the Ohio chili, whatever it is.
Yeah. What is it called? The Skyline.
Yeah.
It's just not my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anyway.
So I'm in Angels. I mean,
this way, that was Angels related. That was Cincinnati.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit. Look at you. Good. Back to me, guys. Back to the Angels.
No, I mean, I feel like they should have beaten the Red Sox again, 2 out of 3, but I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if Griffin Canning can turn it around. I mean, his fastball's been pretty flat, and when you're throwing it 92, 93, it's going to get hammered in this league.
Yeah.
Especially when you're farting around and and trying to nibble here, and so I do want to give some praise, and I'm sure that you'll acknowledge this, Victor, is Patrick Sandoval did a much better job yesterday. You talked about this 2 episodes ago, that you want to see him compete.
Yeah.
You want to see him battle. And I think he battled yesterday. I mean, when he got out of that bases loaded jam, we got a special guest.
Yeah, the boss is home. The boss
Hey, Kim.
What's up, Kim?
Guys.
Straight out of the 1950s. Pop collar. She's got her Ray-Bans on. What's up?
I like it.
I love it.
Little risky business.
How are you guys doing?
Driving her little convertible Thunderbird,
Yeah,
I'm living in the 50s.
I like
that's
it.
Great.
Sorry. Okay, you can go. What's for dinner, woman? No, I'm kidding. Ma! It doesn't get
meatloaf.
The meatloaf.
The meatloaf.
All right, sorry. All right, sorry. Go ahead.
I mean,
so Patrick Sandoval, he did pitch better.
Yeah.
Especially, so I'm between Naples and Fort Myers, so I'm in Estero, and so I'm blacked out of the Angels broadcast, and so I listen to the Rays. But the funny thing is, I get Rays and the Marlins. I get both.
That's weird.
Yeah. But I listened to Brian Anderson on the broadcast yesterday talking about Patrick. And, it's never easy when you face a team back to back, or, you just recently faced a team and you're facing them again.
Yeah.
And the one thing that Brian kept talking about, and it looked early on that he mixed up what he was doing from his previous start. And not that the previous start against the Rays was horrific by any stretch of the imagination. It wasn't an Orioles start, right?
Yeah.
But he gave up some runs. He went 5 innings, and it was okay. Yesterday, he changed the game plan up, and really was more of a fastball changeup guy early, until he let me throw a little wrinkle, then started throwing the slider. And at that point, and the funny thing is that as that happened, and Brian was talking about it, is when the innings started to get a little bit longer for him, and the pitch count got a little bit longer, a little bit bigger. And so I just hope that, just like anything else, and then we talk about Griffin or anybody else on that Angel staff, is that you can continue to build off the positive things as opposed to worrying about the negative stuff that's happened to you in the past. And I think it was a step forward for him, because it like I said, I always think that the offense has an advantage on you when you're facing them in back-to-back starts, or you just faced them last week and you're facing them again this week. It's like, all right, you know what's coming. You've seen it. You've seen the release point. You've seen the slot. And so I think it's important that you adjust accordingly. And I think Patrick did adjust accordingly in Monday's game against the Rays. And I think all right, how do I build off of that? If they're not figuring you out, and a key thing that Brian said, which is really lost in today's game from a pitching philosophy standpoint, is back in the day, you used to go out there and it's like, all right, I'm going to locate fastball and make sure I get a feel for my changeup, right? It all depends on what your bullpen was like. If you got a feel for the changeup and the breaking ball's out there, then you kind of keep that breaking ball in your back pocket. You maybe work it in between innings as you're warming up. But if you got the feel for the fastball and you feel for the changeup, you just stick with those 2 pitches, unless you need it, right? And then if you need it, things start to blow up on you, then you got to mix it up. I get that. In today's world, which anybody that watches the game, and Brian brought it to the attention of his viewing audience last night, is pitchers in today's game, especially at the major league level, here it is. Here's everything I have, and the kitchen sink in the first inning. So it's like, so you've got nothing left to really keep guys, because the mindset is today, all right, you're only going 5 innings. You might as well just air it all out and get your 100 pitches, 5 innings, and get out and get out of there, and you did your job. which I don't think is the right way to teach pitching. I think what we saw yesterday from Patrick is the way to go. You keep doing what is successful for you until it's not. And when they adjust to you, then you adjust. And back and forth. That's the cat and mouse game. And I think if you go back to like Verlander, any of the aces really in the game of baseball, but Verlander because he's still pitching, and Scherzer to a certain extent. Although Scherzer's stuff is dipped down, so he has to rely on tricking you a little bit more than he did back in the day. But Justin had 95, 96, for the first 5 or 6 innings, then 97, 98 in the 7th inning. So it's a little extra that he was saving in the tank. And he wasn't showing you all of his cards at that time. And I think that to me is more pitching as opposed to the throwing phenomenon that we've gotten into in Major League Baseball. So to your point, Chuck, I think it is a really good start for Patrick and something for him to build off of.
Good. Because we need a good, reliable 3. We've gotten stellar performances from Detmers and Anderson. But we need a third guy, and we need a fourth guy. Hopefully Soriano tonight, because he's got the stuff, and he's been stretched out. In spring training, he went 6 innings in a start, and he's not unfamiliar with being a starter. He was in the minor leagues. We need 3 or 4 guys. That can be consistent. To your point a couple weeks ago, Victor, that just give you some good 5 or 6 innings.
Yeah.
If they're giving up 3-4 runs, hey, I'll take it, because I think the Angels' offense is better than most people think.
I think for me the jury's still out on the consistency of that lineup. That said, I like the upside of it. I like what Mike Trout's doing. Obviously, I think the quote that he had over the weekend in Boston about, hey, those are the situations where the guy is supposed to step up, and he felt like he didn't in Boston, but of course he did last night against the Tampa Bay Rays with the 2-run home run. I think you're seeing Taylor Ward kind of getting back to what he was prior to getting hit, which is good. And we don't need to talk about Taylor. I think Taylor's one of those guys that it's like it's like white noise, right? So it's in the background and it's perfect. It's at the right decibel level, and you don't need to mess with it. Just let it go, right?
Yeah.
We don't need to bring Taylor Ward to the forefront, right? Because that's not his forte. That's not his thing. Right. That's not his personality. Just let him go be. And I think that'll be good for him. It's just a matter of getting consistency from the lineup. Drury off to a slow start. I like Brandon.
Picking it up.
Yeah, and I know Brandon. He's more of a workman than anything else. I keep my feet firmly planted on the ground as to what he's capable of doing. Still want Anthony. I still want Zach. I want O'Hoppe. Joe Adell's got to, figure it out up here between the ears. He's got to be better because the physical attributes. There's a lot of guys in baseball, in sports in general, that have the physical attributes, but it's difficult at that level to maintain and or succeed unless you figure this out.
Right.
And being locked in every single day. It's just, and it's silly mistakes that are only going to continue to get compounded because we're seeing them way too frequently, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yes.
I'll give you a chance to respond on that, Geoff, but I do want to say that the Angels are top 5 in exit velocity, which is great, but they're also underperforming in expected slugging percentage. As you've seen, they're kind of lower mid to lower tier in extra base hits and home runs. I think that with the exit velocities, you'll see that transit. Sano doesn't have a home run yet. O'Hoppe, does he even have one? Maybe one. These are guys that can just clobber home runs, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're not. Neto, another one that's been struggling. Rendon hasn't popped one yet, but I mean, he's looked really, really good. So I think that, with them being ranked where they're at in exit velocity, that's a good sign and a good trend that you could look at. Like, this team is here now, but just wait till these balls start falling into place and then going over the fence.
The only issue with the exit velocity thing, and I saw Jim Bowden put something out on Twitter with Sano leading the way with the highest exit velo. It's like, you kind of have to tap the brakes on that. What's the K rate?
Sure.
Nose is high. What's the contact rate? So it's all fine and good. I just think that you have to look. Miguel is what Miguel is at the end of the day, right? Just because he leads Major League Baseball in average exit velocity doesn't make him a breakout candidate for 2024.
But it could.
Well, anybody could. You can say that about anybody. You can also say somebody that's not in the top 10 or top 20 in exit velocity could be a breakout star just from a batting average perspective, right? From a contribution perspective, from an on-base percentage perspective. So that's why I don't like to just look at numbers and say, oh, well, okay, it says it on the piece of paper, then he's going to be fine. Expected batting average and so on. No, I mean, what's his approach to the plate on any given day? What's his swing and miss rate? Is he walking? Is he taking pitches? How many pitches is he taking per plate appearance? Not just Miguel, but anybody. And I think that's why you have to just kind of.
And that's fair. That's fair. And that's also all. Right. And actually, when Anthony Rendon got off to that terrible start before he started, hitting the ball here the past couple weeks, he was at least seeing pitches, right? I mean, he was still working the count.
Which has always been his forte.
Always.
Yeah.
Right. But now he's at least putting some good lumber on the ball, which is good to see. Yeah.
Lumber.
All
right, I got a couple minutes, guys.
All right.
What do you want to talk about?
Anything in here for Victor on the
Hey, by the way, there is no truth to the rumor that the Angel season is dead because we're wearing gray and black throughout this entire broadcast. All right. Nothing whatsoever.
Just happened. We never play. As you guys can probably tell, we don't plan anything. No. So this is
cheers to that, my man. That's exactly how I like it.
This is very organic. Very organic.
Yes, it should be.
Just happened.
Honestly, guys, I think the best shows that I watch, sports shows, podcasts, they're all that way. Yeah, they have some things that they're going to plug in there.
Yeah.
But it's very unscripted, and it's just guys hanging out, talking baseball or talking whatever sport it may be, and just having a good time doing it.
Yeah.
So
as it should be.
And we're not under some corporate thing where we can't say this or we can't say that.
Yeah.
Or we have to do this and we have to do a podcast every day of the week or we're out of here.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
We don't have any executive producers that think they know what they're doing because they've never sat in a broadcast chair telling you what to do. None of that shit here, bro. None of that.
Screw those guys.
Yeah. What do they know?
All right.
Geoff,
well, yes,
what
sir.
do you got?
I was thinking back earlier today about where we're at right now, sitting at 500. And a year ago, when we kind of started this podcast and we're a couple episodes in, and Victor had talked about how he was texting with Gooby and that we were sitting right about it at 500. And Gooby said something to Victor like, yeah, but we could be, 6 games above 500. And Victor responded with, yeah, but we're not. We're at 500. And that's kind of what ended up happening and, holding true through the balance of the season. And I sit here looking at us right now as we're at 500, and it's kind of like, yay, we're tied for first place because we're in this mid division. But is that really just still who we are? Is this more of, the song remains the same, and this is, while it's nice that we're tied for first in the AL West, are we really still just a 500 team? I know it's early. I know there's a lot of baseball to be played, but that's something I also kind of have my eye on, is trying to identify and read the tea leaves a little bit early in the season of who is this team and who should we expect them to be.
And we talked about this in a recent podcast, that I don't think we should have any expectations other than let the kids play, hope that Trout and Rendon can stay healthy, and some of these other pieces that we brought in can contribute. And my God, if Taylor Ward can continue what he did 2 years ago prior to his injury, he was a guaranteed all-star that season. Yeah. He ran into the wall, busted up his shoulder. I mean, and then last year he got his face got obliterated. I mean, it's like, let the guy play a full season and let's see what we got. Because it's special, man. I love his approach at the plate. His swing to all fields. I mean, he's got some thump. I mean, it's so anyway, Sano, I know that you're not as bullish on him as I am, Victor, but it's a guy 2-3 years ago that hit 30 home runs, and now he's, in shape, and he's a good story. I mean, he played third base last night. I don't know if you saw it, but man, he looked good at third base.
He did look good last
All
night.
Of his throws were I mean, and we know he's got the power. I just want to, it'd be great to see that, hit some extra base hits, get some over the fence. I'm excited for the unknown. Let me just say that.
Yeah.
With no expectations, I am excited for the unknown. And I'll say it, not having Ohtani on this team and just having the direction with Ron Washington, these younger guys, and it just being a team, not one guy up over here and these other guys down below, and it's just all about Trout and Ohtani. No, this is a team. And I think Mike Trout has embraced that too. And he accepted the responsibility as a team leader. And anyway, so I'm excited for that. The unknown, no expectations.
Yeah. Before I go, I agree with you. I think the unknown is kind of exciting. It's always exciting when you are, right, when you're a fan of a team and you're hoping that they're able to play. I think the fact that you're in mid-April right now, and it is a division that has no real personality as of yet, because everyone is going through some issues. I think that's good, because there's no stress. Yeah. There's nobody at the top of the division that's 12-4 or 13-3, and all of a sudden you're looking up and you're 3, 4, 5 games back, and
right.
And all of a sudden it's an uphill climb and you're not sure. Yeah, it's kind of, I think that's the saving grace of it all, is that there are opportunities still for this team to, maybe make the playoffs. And again, I don't know that this is a team that's going to win the World Series. But I think that if you continue to get the positive steps from a developmental standpoint from the young players, which to me is the most important thing, because the veterans are who they are, good, bad, or indifferent. If the development of the young players continues to trend in a positive way, I think that bodes well. Now that the streak is over for Nolan, what's his personality? What's his personality as a hitter? We know what he does defensively. Like, okay, who is he now? What's he going to evolve into? Because there's no longer a focus about the on-base streak. No worries about Walker and on-base. Like, okay, now who are you as a hitter? Mm-hmm. We've seen glimpses of it with Zach. We've seen it with Logan. That to me is the bigger takeaway as we continue to progress through the month of May and into June, into the summer months. Like, along with Wash and what he brings to the table, is that you get the opportunity to see these guys develop and give you a better understanding of what you actually have and whether or not you can push your chips into their corner and say these guys are going to be the cornerstone or going to be pieces that are going to help us get to whatever that is, whether it's this year, next year, in 2 years, whatever the case may be. You've got to find that stuff out. And, getting injuries early on doesn't help. The whole Stevenson thing is kind of weird, from shoulder to elbow and figuring out what he's got going on. But, hey, that's just part of the season. Everybody's got to deal with injuries. Everybody is dealing with injuries. So, no, you can't sit in your corner, lick your wounds, and woe is me. You just have to figure out next man up.
Right.
And that's Ron Washington. He's a next man up guy. Like, he wants you to succeed, but if you're hurt, you're not performing. It's like, next man up. Let's go. He's passing the baton, and so that's the whole point. So,
hey, Victor, before you leave, I want to ask you, with John Sterling retiring, who are a couple? I don't know if have we ever asked this, Geoff? Who are a couple of your idols growing up? And
broadcasting,
in broadcasting, whether it's radio or TV. And then who's your favorite Angels radio or TV guy? Because I know you've been with the organization a long time.
Me, of course.
Besides you, for crying out loud.
Oh man! All right,
well, already our lists don't match.
I didn't. I wasn't a broadcast guy, so it's like I didn't grow up with like an idol broadcasting. I grew up with Denny Matthews in Kansas City.
Okay,
that was kind of my guy, and Denny is to this day very straightforward, kind of that dry humor, that whole right down the middle for a ball. That's a Denny Matthews-ism. I didn't come up with that. I got that from Denny, and those are the little things that I learned growing up. So I never. It wasn't like something I was dreaming about doing, so I followed a particular broadcaster. There are certain broadcasts that I like to listen to. There are others that are like, oh, okay. There's friends that I like to listen to. I like listening to the Guardians. Just
those
because
guys are good.
They're just guys just doing a game. You know what I mean? They're just dudes, and they don't take themselves seriously. And I just like, that's what I like. That's, I like that kind of sitting on a bar stool at a bar of mentality, as opposed to the traditional, stringent, tired play-by-play that you get all too often. That's very vanilla, that there's no personality to. And so that's kind of what I've always leaned towards. Angels wise, I'm trying to think who was calling games, in the 80s. I know Joe Torre was in the booth.
Bob Starr. I mean, I loved him.
Bob was great to listen to. But
Ron Fairley.
I didn't. Yeah, Ron was awesome.
Yeah,
God rest his soul. He's just a great dude.
Yeah, Dick Enberg was the 70s, right? He wasn't in the 80s.
Yeah, he was early.
Yeah.
So like I didn't. Again, I lived in Kansas City. I wasn't in. Dad joined the Angels in '82. Mm-hmm. And so anything that I heard was from a national broadcast perspective. I really wasn't tuning into Angels broadcast. We didn't have, obviously, DirecTV or anything like that. So it was tough to listen to, those broadcasts.
Sure.
The only time I remember being out there was in '88, because I spent the summer with my dad when he was managing. And so I'd listen to and watch a lot of games back then. Ken Brett, I think, was part of it. Mm-hmm. He was in there as well at some point. So, but no, oh my God, I want to hang my hat on this guy.
Sure.
Now, friendships and mentorships and people I love talking to. Dick Enberg was freaking awesome. Vin was awesome. Yeah. Dick was as much of a straight shooter as anybody else. And, there's some people that knock him and the like, but I'll never forget. We went to San Diego, play the Padres, and we had a conversation with him. And I'll never forget. He goes, who gives a shit what anybody says about your broadcast? Seriously, just go do whatever you want, whatever makes you happy. That. And it was so straightforward, so honest, and I wasn't expecting it. It was really cool. And one of the things that I have, I don't know if I shared it with you guys. I've got it somewhere. It's probably packed away somewhere. But we had him on the air at Angel Stadium when the Padres were in town, and when he passed away, his son sent me one of Dick's ties and a small card, and said, God, I wish I had it somewhere around here. I think if I do. But it was something to the effect of, my dad would have loved you having one of his ties. And it was just a beautifully written card. Great. It was right after he passed away, and something that I'll just cherish forever. I got to get it framed is what I really need to do.
Yeah.
And I've got this case down here. The only glass case that I have for baseballs, it's a 2 baseball thing, and it's Vin Scully, Dick Enberg.
Wow.
And who was the schmo that was sandwiched in between them in Orange County? This guy.
Yeah.
So
I would have that framed somewhere. I mean, that's pretty.
I gotta put it up with the card and everything. It's just it's a navy tie with like these silver streak, kind of a almost Brooks Brothers looking kind of pattern to it. It's really cool. And it was cool that he thought of me and he sent it to me. So
yeah,
be
awesome if you could find a picture of him wearing it to put in the frame when you.
Oh yeah,
that'd be cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. All right, Victor. I'll let you go, buddy.
All right.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, we'll see you,
buddy. See ya.
Bye now.
Chuckster.
You know what, Geoff?
I'm empty.
You're empty. Go get another one, dude. Oh, you got another one? There you go.
On
it. That was quick.
On it.
I just realized that I need a WD-40 this computer chair. My God, it's getting squeaky during our podcast.
A little squeaky-ish?
Yeah.
Oh, man. So...
Well, that was good. I with the Sterling call, and dude, I mean, that was cool that Wayne Randazzo called that Trout home run the way Sterling did it.
Yeah.
It is high. It is. I mean, that is awesome, dude.
That was cool. And if you are not on whatever social media platform you're on, go find Victor's post about Sterling. He does a very good tip of the cap to him, along with a a little bit of a thing at the end where he impersonates him, and it's wonderful and from the heart, and it's just excellent. So
it's good.
Go find that on X or on Instagram or
agreed
Bookface or whatever.
And also, guys, follow his Big Fly podcast too, because we don't have a lot of time to talk about other, Major League Baseball events and stories and stuff on this show, but Victor does.
It's not that we don't have time; we just don't make time for it.
We don't make time. But if we did,
this is an Angels broadcast.
It would be a 2-hour podcast, dude.
It would be. It would be.
Yeah. So,
all right. So let's talk about some of the. We've hit on some of them. The good, the bad, the ugly of the last couple of weeks.
Yep.
We touched on it a little bit when we last recorded. Anthony Rendon was 0 for 20, 0 for 21, still looking for his first hit. He is now batting .263, which, you say, oh, someone's batting .263. That's not very impressive. When someone is 0 for 20-ish, and now they're back up to that, he has really come on and been doing well. And you love to see it, especially from somebody that is sitting in the leadoff spot, and that whatever you think of the guy, we need him, and we need him to be good in order for this team to have a shot of doing anything this year.
And you remember, Geoff, what was it? Was it the last podcast or the podcast before where the Angels benched him, and it was after he had a game where, obviously he went over 4, right? Because he hadn't got his hit yet. But I said he clobbered the ball that game. Mm-hmm. And I said they should start him because of the authority that's been behind that bat. I mean, because he was killing it for the first time. Because you've seen him, dude. Everything before that point, it was a weak grounder. It was just a limp dick pop up. It was awful, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, Geoff, that's all we saw during spring training from him too.
Mm-hmm.
It was the same wet noodle shit coming off the bat. And so anyway, so it was good to see, and I'm glad I saw that, because I'm like, okay, things could be trending in the right direction. And he got his first hit on the homestand, the home opener, so and since then he's been phenomenal. And it's good to see, dude. And we've said this 100 times on this podcast. We complained about Rendon because it's warranted, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, we always have also said that this team goes nowhere without a healthy Rendon.
He's got to be part of it.
Yes.
If he is on the field and in the lineup, he has got to be producing at a level of which he can.
And 10%. Yes.
As we talk about a lot, it kind of comes down to, is he somebody that wants to? Does he have the fire? Does he have the drive? Does he love baseball enough to shut people up?
Right. And I know that's the perception, and the perception is because of his own words, right? Yes. And so, but I wonder if the Ron Washington factor has come into play here.
If there's anybody on this team that I was looking for as the canary in the coal mine of what is the real effect of Ron Washington on this team, it was Anthony Rendon.
Yeah.
And I love what I'm seeing the last couple of weeks.
I don't know if you saw it, Geoff. There was an article, I think it was today or yesterday, that said he's the first one on the field every game day with Ron Washington working on defense. That's dedicated. To me, that shows me that this guy is coming. He's dedicated. Right. Who gives a shit about what somebody has said and done in the past? In baseball, it's all about today.
Yeah. Including us, by the way. Like, who gives a shit what we say? Like,
we eat our crow 100 times a day. We want this team to win.
There's people that hit me up on X and they're like, I disagree with this, that, and the other that you've said. And I'm like, you know what? I disagree with myself half of the time.
Exactly.
Like I'm working things out in real time in my head. It's just coming out my mouth in front of a microphone. Like trying to make sense of it all, as we all are. But
this is funny, Geoff. I can now see your albums. All the podcasts in the past, I could never see your albums, but I'm not going to give anybody clues.
Well, I dropped one clue already.
Yeah, you did.
And I'll just say that we tell no lies on this podcast. So there's your second clue.
Yeah.
The other really good / great thing that we touched on it a little bit is the start to the season that Reid Detmers is having.
Oh my gosh.
My Lord. 3-0, a 1.04 ERA, 26 strikeouts over 17 innings pitched. The guy is off to if he's able to maintain this in any form or fashion, this may be the best Angels pitching performance we've seen in a long, long time.
Yeah, and let's face it, dude. Remember last year, Geoff, we saw velocities from Detmers that were blowing our mind. He was hitting 97. I think he touched once or twice 98. We're like, what the hell? And we're like, okay, this is his breakout year, right? But his slider was flat, and he was throwing it too hard. He was nibbling. Now, everything is just on point. All of his pitches. And props to Barry Enright if it's him that has led to suck out all that talent that we knew when we got him as a first-round draft pick out of Reid Detmers, because we knew he had it.
Yeah.
All the scouts said that this guy is major league ready when we drafted him. And they went on to say it's not because he's advanced. It's because his pitching and his mental, everything is advanced. And his pitches, how many guys coming out of college or high school are ready to go with a 4-pitch arsenal? Not many. That's Reed. And I think with some good coaching over the years and with Enright, I think he's kind of put it all together. It's fun to see because my God, we needed it.
Indeed. Well, let's dip into the mailbag a little bit, and we'll go to some of the not so great things that are going on. So I'll put these to you. A couple of questions that are in the same vein. One comes from Joey in Upland, another from Rodolfo from Pomona, and they have to do with Jose Suarez and the start that he's off to. And what do we do with him? Is he somebody that I think he's out of options? Do we send him back down?
Can't send him down. But are you gonna lose him? Because I mean,
what? So thoughts on Jose?
Usually you'll see guys that pitch out of the bullpen tick up with their fastball velocity. Not seeing that with Suarez. In fact, it's in the 91 to 93 range. And when you're coming out of the bullpen trying to shut guys down, that's not going to play up. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. I've been down on Suarez for a few years now, Geoff. I mean,
for those listening, just to give some context to it, he's pitched in 5 games. He's got an 8.74 ERA. He's pitched 11 innings, and in those 11 innings, he's given up 11 hits, 11 earned runs, 9 walks.
And his job in long relief is to keep the game close and limit the damage. And he's just bent over and say, "All right, guys, he hasn't done. He's
throwing gasoline on the fire instead of.
So anyway, to answer the question further, I think there's guys that can be a long relief option out of AAA. Kenny Rosenberg is a guy. He at least gets swings and misses, right? He's a guy that can come up. Andrew Wantz is a guy that is starting, but he could be a long relief option as well. So I don't know. I mean, they need a long guy. Every team needs a good long guy. And now Jose Suarez isn't, and I don't think he's worth the roster spot. I know you're going to lose him if you DFA him, but it's all about the W's, baby.
Right. It is. Well, and speaking of options, I mean, we kind of touched on
Adell,
on Griffin Canning.
Oh yeah,
and the struggle he has getting out of the gate. And Brian from Temecula, asks, with him having an option, at what point do we send him down, basically, or how much of a leash do we give him to see if he can pull this together? It has only been 3 games, but it's not good. He's 0-3. He's got a 9.88 ERA.
And you and I last year, Geoff, were like Griffin Canning stands. I mean, we were just
and I still am.
Well, you're a UCLA guy. That's why.
I'm a UCLA guy. He's got the same first name as my oldest son. I'm all about it. I want this guy to do well.
Well, let's hope that what Barry Enrights have done with with Detmers and potentially now with Sandoval bouncing back, facing the same team twice. And to Victor's point earlier, it's like, well, it's tough to face the same team twice in a week because they already know your arsenal. But whatever happened, Patrick Sandoval, okay, I'm going to reprogram this shit, and I think he did good. A couple of those hits that he gave up, and then I think was it a walk or infield hit? I can't remember. Where he loaded the bases to get out of that inning, dude. Bases loaded, jam, and only give up 1 run. That's baller. That's baller mode.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So props to him. Because, I mean, to all of our listeners, that you guys probably know that Geoff and I have been on Sandoval's ass all last year, but we give props when it's warranted. We always will.
I've said it time and again. There's maybe nobody on this team that I want to succeed as I do Sandoval. I just, I've mentioned before that, my friend's kid went to high school with him, was on the state championship team with him at Mission Viejo. I want this guy to be brilliant and to have a spectacular season, a spectacular career, and I loved what I saw yesterday.
Yeah. So,
all right, Chuck. Well, what haven't we talked about yet that you want to be sure
we
that
didn't really delve too much into Joe Adell.
Okay,
but he's starting tonight. In fact, game has started now. I want nothing for the best for him too. I know that we get on his case for his base running mistakes, but he's stealing bases. I mean, he's hitting the ball hard. I want him to play, Geoff. I mean, just because some guy makes mistakes, you can't bench him for 3 or 4 days. I mean,
so let me ask you. For the last several seasons, we have been waiting for him to be who we all think that he should be.
Yeah.
Think that he can be. And year after year, he continues to fall short while giving glimpses of this brilliant talent that he has. Does he need a change of scenery? And do the Angels need to wait for him to get a little bit hot and to start showing something and make a move with him when his value is maximized and hope that he can go somewhere and become more consistent, as opposed to this potentially this, magnifying glass that we've all had him under, waiting for him to be the guy that we all had talked him up to be?
I don't know, Geoff. I think if you asked the same question a year ago and it was under the same circumstances with his playing time and what was going on, I would say yes. Trade him.
Yeah.
But now that we have Wash and now Torrey Hunter is in the mix, and you got like EY Senior and Bo Porter, these guys, I think that these guys can really help him mentally. Because the talent is there. The talent is there.
Yeah.
I think he's trying too hard because he's only playing so few games. So he's trying to do too much in the time that he has. Give him some consistent playing time, and I think that we may see some fruit.
Yeah.
So that's my take.
I'd love to see it. I think Angels fans would as well. I mean, he's somebody, again, that we've been talking up and everybody's been waiting for and hoping for.
Can you imagine the boom to this team?
Oh, huge.
Joe Adell, starting right fielder for the Angels, 25, 35 home runs, 25, 35 stolen bases, hitting 270, 280. I mean, playing good defense in the outfield. I mean, dude, that could happen.
Right.
And to trade him away for nothing because his value is so small right now, you're not going to get anything. And if we traded him to a different team and he did that, oh my God, dude.
Well, if we traded him away and he got hot and had the career that we've all been waiting for, I think that might prove it was a change of scenery that he needed. He needed to flush the expectations that this organization and this fan base had been having for him and go somewhere else where people were like, we're taking a flyer on the guy. He's got a lot of potential. Let's see what happens. But we're not expecting anything.
Yeah.
Where we've all been waiting and heavily expectant on, let's go.
Yeah.
especially with as bad as the Angels farm system has been.
Right.
And maybe that's part of the problem too, right? That our farm system has been such a disaster over the last 5 to 10 years that, being able to reap any fruit out of it is,
yeah,
something to look
What do you
at.
got? What do you got left, Geoff?
I got nothing. I got to go pick up my kid from practice. So,
and this is where the podcast ends.
Right before we started, I actually booked his appointment to go get his driver's license. He's been driving for a year, so he's right there, and then I don't have to be the daddy Uber. But right now, that's where we're at.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts?
No, I just I'm with Victor. I think you got to win. I think you got to win 3 out of 4. You got to take this series, and you got to. It's going to be tough in Cincinnati. Cincinnati's got a good team. Their pitching is whatever, but not a great offense. But if you could squeak 2 out of 3 out of there too, especially on Saturday when I'm there, that'd be great. Yeah, come on.
Yeah. All right. Well, everyone, thank you for listening. Again, like, subscribe, crush that subscribe button, tell your friends, share the podcast with those that you like and those that love the Angels. For Victor Rojas, for Chuck Richter, I'm Geoff Stoddart. This is the Angels Win podcast, episode 34. Good night now.
See you guys.
Thank you for listening to the Angels Win podcast with Victor Rojas, Chuck Richter, and Geoff Stoddart. Go Halos and drive home safely.